Welcome to season 5 of Outstanding Women Leaders, Witty and Wise Conversations. I'm your host, Katie L. Leeds, founder and chief owl at Outstanding Women Leaders Professional Coaching and Podcast, an organization dedicated to empowering women in leadership, relationships, and life. Owl is on a mission to host 100 million witty and wise conversations that inspire you, disrupt the way leaders think, and stir your soul into aligned action. That inspiration begins with a set of rules to guide our conversation today. Ashley loves rules. Rule number 1, nobody gets to be right. Wrong. Nobody gets to be right. Everybody gets to be vulnerable, and everything is included. We do not edit here. The world is edited enough. We've asked our guests to join us via video today to create authentic connection. Eyes are the window to the soul. You will be seen here. You will be heard. There is space for you. When this conversation comes to a close, I will ask our guests 3 questions. If you've tuned in before, you know what they are. You don't want to miss them. So enough about me. Today, I'm excited to welcome Outstanding Women Leader, Ashley Peterson, Vice President of Marketing. Energized by growth and new opportunities, she brings a whole lot of positivity and determination into everything she does with her results-driven mindset. She has a proven track record making waves in marketing, most recently building the demand generation engine that transformed a small startup into the industry leader in compliance training. For Ashley, it's not just about the business hustle. She is passionate about empowering individuals to grow and succeed in and out of the workplace. And she's actively working on establishing her company's first women's resource group. So if you're into embracing change, new experiences, big or small, and sharing a good laugh, you're in the right place. Welcome, Ashley. That is the best introduction I've ever read on the podcast. You can tell you know what you're doing over here.
Thanks, Katie. Excited to be here.
I'm excited that we're in compliance with rules today. I forgot about the compliance components. That was just a nice little tidbit. And if you head over to our bonus episode, you're going to hear all about how the rules of anything's possible. I need to maybe add that to my podcast. You know what? We're not going to worry about people being right and wrong. We just need one rule. Anything's possible. And that's really how you roll. I love that about you.
Yeah.
So anything's possible, Ashley. Take us to, how do you go from little Ashley to anything's possible? I'm now the VP and building out this amazing, incredible opportunity for people.
Yeah. You know what? I think it's all about, number one, it certainly is about networking and meeting others, having other, women that you have as a support and to help kind of evolve and get you to that next place. But I think one of the biggest things where I found success is just digging in and getting started. I don't stay at a place more than, or within a company. I typically will just jump up after 2 years. I'm bored. Like I need something different. I need a new role. I need a new challenge. I need something. And so I think because of that growth mindset, I'm always like sniffing around in other areas. What can I get involved in? Can I learn more? Can I learn about this tool? Can I learn can I get deeper into some other area, or can I extend my skill set somewhere else? And so I think by doing that, I've been really successful. I've been able to kind of grow, not just my experience, but like outside of the standard job description, right? Like I'll take on extra responsibilities. And then when it comes to that promotion, to asking for those dollars, I have something tangible to put in front of them. And share, here's what I've done, and here's what I've done for your organization. Here's the revenue I've driven, or whatever I've done so far. And I'm able to proceed forward. And so I think that's how I've continued to have success, is just by continuing to dig in and just, get involved.
Experience is the best teacher. How do you stay resilient? Because with experience comes failure.
Yeah. You know what? Failing is succeeding, right? Like if you get a yes, you have an answer. If you get a no, you have an answer. And from there, you can pivot off of it. I think so frequently we're scared to go into a conversation and ask for more money, right? Well, what if they say no? What if they say no? At least then you walk out of it knowing exactly where you stand. No, because you need to work on XYZ, or, no, because right now the timing isn't right. However, in 6 months, great. Now we're having an open dialogue, a shared conversation where I'm really clear on expectations. They're clear, and we know what each other wants, right? Like nobody's guessing. Nobody's a mind reader. Well, I don't know, maybe, but I'm not a mind reader. And so I think it's helpful in those situations and scenarios to just be able to be really clear about what you want and go after it. Like, so what if someone says no, right? I think you just have to learn from that and pivot. And if the company says no and you want an opportunity, great. That's your answer to move on, right? Like, you can't lose. You can't lose in that. So, yeah.
Failure is succeeding. You should write a book on that.
Boom, there's my next book title. Yeah.
That is your next book title, which implies there's a first book title. I love this for you. All the experiences that you have to write about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I imagine that being a woman comes with a different lens of experience in the startup world. Would you say you're alone over there? Do you have enough of you? As you're starting a women's resource group, I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of us, which is great. The current company that I'm at is phenomenal when it comes to empowering the employees in general. And it's really a top-down culture of just openness, empowerment, encouraging us to go after what we want, which is great. That's exactly what you want to have. I think to be able to start a woman's ERG at a company like that, where we're already so supportive, we have phenomenal male allies. It's like that is the easiest environment to be able to start something like that. But just because we have this great and supportive environment doesn't mean that we're not all facing and going through the same shared experiences. I think people who are, at any point in the corporate world or in work, you have to deal with some struggles, right? It's struggles to say no. It's struggles to put boundaries in place, time boundaries around what you will and won't do. I think being able to delegate so frequently, it's like, oh, you want to take ownership of it. And sometimes it's hard to let those things go. But I think those are all really important things. And those are shared experiences. Being, a boss in the workplace and also managing your home, like that's also another shared experience that we all have. And, there's no one right way to do anything. You got to mess around, find out, figure out what works for you. But I think having so many phenomenal women, so many great allies to get together and share their own shared experiences, I think that's just a no-brainer. Let's have a community to lean on. So frequently, and especially our company, we're 100% remote. When do you have those time to build those interpersonal relationships? You don't. And so I think that is kind of the space for something like that. When I was starting out in corporate, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, I think it was like you get in there and you're excited. I was excited. Growth mindset. What are we going to do? I'm going to go take over the world. It's going to be great. And you meet these female leaders who you look up to because they're they're either your boss or they're the CMO or they're higher up in the company. And you're so impressed by them. And like, you want to know their secrets. You want to hear how they got to where they got to so you can learn from it. And I can't say I always had the best experiences. One of my managers who I looked up to, I remember I just got engaged. I was so excited. I was planning a wedding in Sayulita, Mexico. I had like tequila and tacos on the mind. And she came over, sat next to my desk and was like, okay, so now that you are engaged, you're going to be getting married soon, you have to start making some difficult decisions. Like, do you want a family or do you want a career? Because you can't have both. It was like, number one, my mom, thank goodness, she had it right. She had it all. She got her master's, she worked, she, had a great career, and she also had 2 kids. So I knew this woman was full of baloney, but it's so much of that mindset that like you hear from other women leaders. I had another leader who basically was like, yeah, if you want to succeed, you need to dress like Steve Jobs. Like, okay, I do love me a black turtleneck, but because that's what you wear every day. And then, you fit in with the men, you don't have to think about your wardrobe. And, if you really get more into sports and politics, like that's how you'll really succeed. And it was like, wait a minute. So you're telling me the person who went to fashion school, like the person who was a stylist throughout her entire college career, that like, I need to fit in. I want to stand out, but I can't have success that way. Like, am I in the wrong place? So it was, that was challenging coming in there. So for all these new corporate girlies, it's like, you can have it all. Anything is possible. Literally anything is possible. But, I want to be able to share with others, like, here's how you can go after and achieve these things. And let's hear from other women who have done it too. And so I think that's one of just the biggest benefits that could come out of something like that.
Yeah. When failing is succeeding, you really start to own your authenticity. And that's what comes through so much for you. Anything's possible when you're authentic.
Yeah.
Mm. Was there ever a time where you felt like you like pressured outside of just those women, but did you feel pressured to have to change your look in order to succeed? Or were you just like, that's not for me and moved on? How do you keep your authenticity when everyone around you is telling you that that's not going to work?
Yeah, I think you have to find a way to surround yourself with women who, not women, just people in general, right? Who will help to um, drive that empowerment and drive that truth home. I think really, I do believe the people you surround yourself with is it's not a reflection on you, but that's what will help you to grow and to succeed. I think when I was in this environment where I'm essentially being told you have to change, conform, or basically find a new career, that was when I started searching elsewhere. Okay, so I'm not going to get it at my current company. I'm not going to get it within my current circle. And so I think at that time I started listening to like Girl Boss Radio. It was a podcast that was out then. I was obsessed. It was all these awesome, badass female entrepreneurs, female in corporate. They were coming on, they were sharing their stories of how they got started, where they are today, and where they're going. And it was so exciting. I remember seeing Bozoma St. John. She's been in a million different, really well-known organizations, high up, CMO. And so she is someone who has it all. Like she has a daughter. She is one whole ass person, right? Like her Instagram doesn't change from her LinkedIn. Like she is one whole human and she's accepted. And it's just like, I think just seeing her, like, wait a minute, if she can do it, I can do it, right? Like if somebody is out there being authentically them, why can't I be that? Like I don't need a LinkedIn persona and a Instagram persona. Can't I just be Ashley? And the answer is yes, because I think it's possible.
Yes, you can even be AI Ashley if you want.
Oh, AI Ashley has extensions.
Mm. Oh, I love hearing you talk because the energy that you're speaking of is your exact same energy I love about my partner. You guys share a similar energy, and that who he is who he is, and he gives everyone around him permission to be themselves. And that's what makes you so inspiring. You really don't have to do anything outside of that. I love that what inspired you was not someone you wanted to emulate outside of just authenticity. I want to be as authentic as that person. And that's ultimately what I tried to bring, which is why I don't edit the podcast. It's why I'm doing conscious journaling so I can stop editing my writing. And, as nobody cares about prepositions anymore. So now I really don't have to work. I mean, that one's a tough one. Maybe someday spelling will be obsolete and I can really just crush it with my writing.
It will be. I feel like it might be.
It's on its way. I always
Yeah.
say I'm one editor away from people thinking I'm a brilliant writer. And that's the problem, right? Is that everyone is one editor away from social acceptance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something I see you as uniquely positioned as you continue to grow your career is we do have women that gatekeep when they get to the top. And they don't mean to, perhaps, or perhaps they do because it feels unfair. I had to do this, so you have to do it too. Hey, this is just the shit we have to slog through. I feel like that's how the boomers felt about the millennials, right?
Yeah.
You can't cheat the system.
Yeah.
This is how it works. Like, no, we are
Yep.
the system. Yeah.
Recreate the system. It's whatever system you want it to be.
Mm. Yeah. How do you support, bringing out the authenticity of the people that you lead?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, I do always tell my employees, like, yes, we're here at this company. Yes, it's about making sure that you are succeeding at the company, that the company is succeeding based on what you're putting into it. But also, where do you want to go? Like, what are you doing with your career? Like, gone are the days where you're at a company for decades, right? It's typically okay, you're there a handful of years and you move on to your next role, or you're shifting out of your position. And so I'm really good at moving people up in the organization or out if that's not the right fit for them. And so I think when it comes to managing people, it's sort of like, what do you want to do? What experiences do you want, right? Like what do you want to have on your resume? What do you want your LinkedIn profile to look like? I'm not just going to hand these things to you, but if I see an opportunity, if you're working hard and you want to go after and get something more, like let's work together, right? That's just plain and simple. I always want to be able to get you as much money as I can get you. I've had roles before where we had a reorg and I shifted into something, and it was a company where people were gatekeeping, right? Like my female leader was gatekeeping, and each little raise I got, it was like a 3% raise. Oh my God. Wow, isn't this great? Wow, you've done so well. And it was such a joke. And I remember being frustrated every time. And we got to a point where I was supposed to be managing someone, and she basically was trying, like fighting tooth and nail for me to not manage this individual. I could not figure it out. And I ended up eventually getting her under me, and her salary was like $30,000 more than mine. And she was, very much below where I was in terms of like title hierarchy. And so it was something like that where she's like, well, I didn't want you to treat her poorly because you knew that, or I didn't want. And I was like, treat her like good for her. Kudos, girl. Take a bow. Like, that's incredible, right? You came in, you made sure you can get as much money as you could. And like, you're trying to succeed, kudos. That was incredible. I wasn't angry. I didn't feel any type of way about it towards her. I was so happy for her. Like, that's incredible. She should go share with other people how she got that money. So yeah, I think that's kind of the difference in how I manage and how I see things versus others who might gatekeep or say, you have to work as hard as I did or slush through. Like, no, you don't. It's fine.
Yeah. You're
Be creative.
supportive. And you've also took learning from that girl and you manifested that into your own doubling of a salary. What is your advice and tips and tricks for turning an offer into more?
Yeah, I think, it's two-part. One, gain as much experience as you can. If you're in a role, like figure out how to gain, and don't just gain more experience and just take on more tasks. What is the experience that's going to land you that next role, right? Like, what do those resumes look like? If you want that next one, look at what the resumes look at what the job descriptions look like, and figure out what you need to add to yours to get there. Typically, when you're at a company, get your hands on more things. Just gain that additional experience. Once you do, then you can not only feel confident to ask for what you deserve, but to ask for roles that might be a little bit bigger than what you initially intended to go after. I think that's one of the biggest things. The other piece is negotiating. Don't just take the first offer, right? Like, negotiate a fair salary, a salary that's going to set you up for success. All too often, like maybe you're nervous or you feel silly or you don't want to really ask for that amount. You'll give a range. Oh, I'm willing for this small range to this range because you're like too nervous to ask for the full thing. Ask for it. Like, own your success, own your skill set, and just ask for it. And the worst thing that, again, they could do is say no and counter with a different offer. And so I think that's really the two parts of it. Gain as much experience as you can, and do not be afraid to have that conversation around money.
Yeah, I always say don't want the job more than they want you. And that's your fifth line energy that we talked about. Well, we actually talked mostly about your third line energy in the bonus episode. That fifth line is like, you're meant to be pursued because you have all this experience, because you're a pioneer. You actually have a message that's worth listening to. You have solutions that you bring to an organization. So there's absolutely no reason why you should feel like, well, if they can't meet my needs, I'll find my needs met elsewhere. There's right, we forget, and it's such a tough job market right now for people to hear that, which is why I say you have to know, like, what is it that's your bottom number, and increase that by at least 30% so that when you start negotiating, that you're a little bit, you can always look like you're being gracious in that offer that you're willing to take.
Exactly. And if you're looking to be at a company for a while, I mean, go in with the biggest offer you can, because likely, you're not going to go in and all of a sudden make, 50% more 2 years later, maybe. And I have done it. It is possible. But it's not the standard. So get in with as much as you can.
And you say it's not the standard, but it is possible. I always say timing is part of that. Talk us through a little bit about, how do you make those possibilities possible?
Yeah, I mean, timing is everything. And I think one of the things we talked about earlier is setting those clear expectations. I think if you're waiting for an annual review to have that conversation, because that's when you're like allowed to have that conversation, it's too late. It's too late. if you want to have that conversation for the following year to like get that raise, to get that promotion, to get whatever, then I think, yeah, that's a great timing to talk about what you want to work on in the next year to achieve your goals. I think so frequently people are nervous to have the conversation, or will go into the conversation around money or promotion, sort of being like, well, okay, great, the title, but I need more money, the economy, or I need more money. I'm this and that. And it's like, it's not about your personal and what you have going on in your life or the economy. It is truly about you and the value that you bring to the organization. If you want something, let your boss know, have that conversation early on and continue to have it. Okay, a quarter's closed out. What have you done? What value have you brought to the organization? Share that with your boss. Have that open dialogue. I just interviewed someone yesterday who said, do you guys have an annual review process here? I said, yeah, I'm curious why you're asking. And he said, oh, well, some companies just don't think about it. And I just want to make sure there's a time and a place to have that conversation around promotion. And it's just like, anything's possible. Make your own rules, have the conversation whenever you want to have it. And also, like, things always change, right? Companies can be very agile. So if your boss doesn't have a clear idea of where you want to go, or like what is fueling you or what you're interested in, it doesn't always have to be financially like driven. It could be you want exposure. It could be, you want kudos in some way, like whatever it is, just make sure that you're communicating that with your boss, so that you can go after what you want, get what you want. And yeah, timing is everything.
Yeah. When you talk about people leadership, you can really hear how great it is to be led by you, because you are thinking about what motivates and inspires people.
Yeah, it's what's going to get you the best output. It's what's going to help you to retain people, right? I mean, I've had employees who, phenomenal employees who they just got an offer that was too good, and they came to me and let me know that this offer came in. It's like, I don't know, 50% more than what they're making now. And they know that we could never match it because that's insane. And I've had to talk them through, okay. And like, is this the right, what experiences are you going to get out of this company versus what you're going to get here? If you went there, you want to be a manager, how many years before you be a manager if you were to shift there versus here? Like, and I think it's just understanding like what people truly want and helping them to go after and get what they really need and what'll fuel them. So yeah.
Any advice that you would give other people managers or leaders that are struggling with motivating employees? You are really great at promoting people up and out, and more importantly, into whatever's meant for them next.
Yeah, I think for sure, clear communication. I do frequently check in with my employees. Some employees every human's different, right? So some employees will come to you, crying, every other week I'm having this experience. I have a lot of anxiety that I'm working through, or I am struggling with XYZ issue. And some will be very straightforward. Other employees will say nothing. They'll say nothing because they're just like, I can do this and I'm strong enough and I'll hold it in. So I think it's just checking in with your employees frequently, and not just like, hey, how's work going this week? It's like, how are you doing? How is your workload? Like, and it's not to say that you're going to take something off their plate, but let's figure out how to prioritize what's happening here so that one day I don't turn around and my star employee is telling me that they're going to be leaving, or that they're, not happy here. So I think just consistently checking in with them. I think for sure setting clear goals, quarterly goals of, okay, here's what we really want to achieve by the end of this quarter, and staying focused on those. I think it's just, it is communication. I think that's sort of the biggest thing. So
imagine that in marketing and worried about communications. It's really nice to see someone that's in marketing and that thinks about how they communicate with the people they work with as much as they do the people they're selling to.
Important.
Yeah. We didn't really touch on you being a mom, but I know that that's one of your superpowers as well, is that not only are you doing it all in career-wise, but you are as a mom too. Anything's possible. Tell us a little bit about how you balance having it all.
Yeah, I think, it's another thing where it's sort of like you become a mom, and, from the second you are pregnant, it's like questions. Well, are you going to breastfeed? Well, what do you think you're going to do about daycare? Well, are you going to make the baby food organic, or are you going to buy it? Or like, it's a million questions of like, are you going to do this or this? I did this, right? And so you're constantly being judged before you've even done a single thing, right? If you do this, you're a good mom. If you do that, you're a bad mom, right? And so you're already starting to like hear these things as you go into it. And I think when number one, you got hormones, all sorts of things are changing. You literally have a human coming out of your own body. Like things get wild, right? So I think in those moments where you have so many people giving you so much advice, it really, I think, is important to just know that like you're doing a great job. Like whatever you do, if your baby is safe and healthy and loved, like you are doing good, right? You are a good mom. And I think so that was one piece of it that, you still kind of get caught up in things, but if you're so obsessed with being a good mom and doing what's best for what other people think is best, it likely isn't best for you. And I think you really have to take a second and stop and think about that. I was obsessed with work, right? My husband frequently would be like, can you get off? Can you get offline? I need you to come downstairs and be my wife. Like I literally was 8 days late with my daughter. I was working, launching a website right up until I went into the hospital, like right up until I went in, I was still working. I truly believe I like manifested her being 8 days late because I was so obsessed with getting this work done. Like that was like first and foremost. So having a child come into this world, it's really like you have to balance it all. And then you have all this pressure to be like this amazing mom who's like doing all of these things, but you also have to like manage a business. It's insane. It was a lot of juggling. I think what I learned to do is delegate, right? Like don't just do everything and then feel resentful to maybe like your spouse. That's what I did at first. But you have to learn to delegate.
You got to
delegate to them.
Trial and error process.
Yeah, there got to be a better way. And guess what? There is. And so I think part of it was learning to delegate at home with my husband. It was doing the same thing at work. Imagine that. Like you got to work on the same thing in both places. But I think upon doing those things and making time for, what you value and time for what you need, block time in your calendar to go for a walk, to go for a workout, to prioritize yourself. I think once I really prioritized myself, I delegated things to my husband and to my employees, and I was able to make time for Ashley. That was like the game changer. That was all of a sudden like, okay, I'm prioritized too. And now I can really be like the best mom. So yeah, it's been a journey and it's still a journey.
As you mentioned earlier, you've had all the specialists, mentors. Clearly you've had an incredible executive coach. You are it's so inspiring to hear how you have learned through trial and error and how all of your failures are your successes. There isn't a single blue hat moment. You'll have to tune into the bonus episode to hear about that one. There hasn't been a single moment where you haven't just learned and reiterated. And I imagine will continue to do so as your daughter grows. So will you. Your favorite thing. Absolutely. How nice of her to wait 8 days.
Like yeah, Hanukkah I was like, thank you. I really needed that extra 24 hours. Thank you. As my body's like exploding. No problem. Like just stay in there.
Ashley, outside of being like Hanukkah by manifesting your own 8 days of your child waiting in the womb, what is your superpower?
Ooh, what I hear often from people that I've worked with, from like CEOs, executives, other sales leaders, my own team, is that I have this unique ability to come up with strategies, like really big level bird's eye view strategies on how to hit, revenue targets, EBITDA, et cetera, how to really deliver on a goal. And I think I can do that very well. I think one of the unique things is that I can also put together the very like technical and tactical steps on how to get there. And I think most people typically have one or the other. At least that's what I'm told. I thought everyone just innately had the same ability. Apparently they don't. But I think that combined with my obsession for growth and constantly evolving and iterating and trying new things is the fact that anything is possible. And honestly, like that is my superpower, that I believe that I'm insane enough to believe that because I do it and it works out and it's true. And so I think with enough time, money, resources, who knows what it is, anything is possible. You just have to go after it and start small. And I think that's the biggest thing.
That right there, the delivering on a goal, big vision, and that tactical like learning experience, that is the 3-5 gift. You are unique. I live with one of
That
you.
is the 3-5 gift. That's the one.
Totally. You guys are so good because you have all the experience. He's in lead generation.
Look at this.
And it is a craft to be able to, he's always like, I have answers to questions people haven't asked yet. I already see where we're going. Like sometimes he's got to wait for everybody else to catch up.
Yeah. You got to slow yourself down sometimes. Like,
Yeah, it's what makes
take
you
it down
guys
a
so,
level.
yeah, it's what makes you guys so valuable. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your purpose?
I think my purpose is to inform others, right? Empower others to go after what they want, empower others to find success, whatever that means to them. I think, my example earlier of you go in and you're surrounded by whomever you're surrounded by and with, I think so frequently that really shapes like what's possible. It kind of sets the tone. And I think if you're surrounded by others who you really believe can go after and achieve whatever they want to, if you're surrounded by others who like believe in you and who inspire you and who are non-toxic and who just help to support you and move forward, I really believe that that's kind of where the success is. And so I think my purpose is to inform others that like you can do it, or that it just takes one simple action. Try this, gain the confidence, and keep like propelling forward. So, as of today, I've been doing that with my family and my friends and my coworkers and my employees and those who I'm close with. But I'd really love to continue to, just evolve, grow, and continue to share out this message with others.
Yeah. That is what a manifesting generator does best. You inform and you empower and you express build. I love this last question for you. What's next? Because it's very clear that speaking more is in your future, but what is really next for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just small steps and moving forward. I mean, we're kicking off our first women's ERG this week, which will be really exciting to see what happens there. Likely we'll fail somewhere, iterate, and keep moving on. But yeah, I want to, be able to launch a podcast and be able to speak at opportunities and be able to, build my own brand. So that's what's next.
Amazing. I always leave our guests with the last word. Anything you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, go after what you want and don't be afraid to ask for what you deserve.